Alrighty, everybody. So we got a fun one yet again today. Another one of our top fives. And what I did here, I'm going to quiz Matt. This might be tough, but here are the top five diet hacks. Now, this is simple, effective, backed by science to help with fat loss and sustainable eating habits, is what it says. So really, it's like different ways, like hacks, so to speak, to create a calorie deficit. Is really what this is. And there's a lot of good ones on this list that actually can help people, I think. And so this is good. I'm excited for this one. What do you have here? And hacks is like, I'll say, like, hacks is like a tough word. It's like really just five ways that you can, five great, says science backed, I don't know if that's true or not, ways to create a calorie deficit, right? To help
Okay,
people.
cool. Yeah. So one of the first ones that comes to mind that I use with clients a lot, especially if they have the trouble with the late night snacking, is intermittent fasting. Is that one on there?
No,
That one's
nope.
not on there. Okay,
That's
cool.
not, no, nope. But that's a good, it's a good one. Obviously, that's something we've talked about before. Something you'll just want to make sure aligns with yourself, right? Because I know for me, when I did that, I started like I would go crazy just because my body needs more food.
Yeah. Okay, so how else can you put yourself in a calorie deficit, like a trick or a hack? I would say, I don't know how you word this, but like, I guess just prioritizing protein or having a higher protein diet.
That's number one. So eat
Okay.
protein every meal, right?
Yeah,
Protein,
that's
food satiety, preserves muscle mass during fat loss, increases that thermic effect, or like the amount of calories you burn through digesting of it. And so, yeah,
a ton
add
of benefits.
in
Yeah.
eggs, egg whites, meats, Greek yogurt's a great one, like all those different things. But the more protein you can have in each meal definitely helps. Like,
That's
prove.
kind of like the easy one, man. That's like if people are looking for an easy, simple one, you just increase your protein. By default, you're going to eat less food. So the likelihood of you being in a caloric deficit is way higher if you can consume enough protein. And especially if they're quality sources too. So like just increasing the amount of protein you're consuming is a huge hack.
Oh yeah.
One of the other things that comes to mind, I would say that kind of piggybacks off that, but I would say quality of food, like more single ingredient or whole food choices.
Yeah, and that's a great one. It's not on here, but I'd say that's
Mm.
like number six, right? Like
Yeah.
quality of food is going to definitely be a huge thing that helps out because if you're eating things that are less quality, a lot of times they're more caloric dense and they're not going to fill you up as much.
Yep.
Quality foods, a lot more volume, like salads, different veggies and fruits, like they're going to be nutritious too, so they're going to fill those nutrition, the amount of like the nutrition and vitamins and minerals that you need.
Another thing that just came to mind that I'm thinking of that's more like, I guess you could deem it as like a hack would be like hydrating, like drinking, making sure you're drinking enough water. Is that on there?
There you go. So that's number two. So it's
Okay.
kind of in a sense of it. So it says drink water before meals, right?
Yeah.
So before it says drinking 16 to 20 ounces of water before meals helps you feel fuller, may reduce your total caloric intake. So
Yeah.
that is a huge thing. Sometimes you can feel more hungry because you're also dehydrated. And
Yep.
so, yeah, that can be a good thing. Drink some water before meals. Make sure that you're just hydrated in general is a huge, huge thing when it comes to.
I'll even do it to like curb cravings after a meal. Like sometimes like I'll like have something for dinner and then I'm like, oh, it's that time for dessert, right? Like I want something sweet. And before like I can allow my mind just to do that, it's always good to like if you can take a walk, great, like that 15 to 20 minutes after you're done eating and then ask yourself, reassess and go, am I still hungry after this? Great. But if you like are battling that window where you're just like, I just need something, like doing carbonated drinks for me is like one of the things too. So kind of off the water thing is like if you drink something carbonated or like 0 calorie, for whatever reason, that carbonation helps fill up the stomach a little bit better. So that's kind of like a little hack too. But
I like that.
um
So we
what
got
else? What
number
else?
one is eat protein with every meal. Two,
Mm,
drink water before meals. So we got three, four, five are left.
okay.
Think about
Let's
one on like kind of like an illusion with your
okay. Okay.
like kind of like
Um
tricking your brain almost.
Oh, so like higher volume foods like salads, things like that, something that has like a bigger volume but less calorically dense.
That's kind of along the lines of that like we were talking with more food, like
Higher
more
quality food.
foods.
Yeah.
this one you might not get it. So this is use smaller plates. So it says
Oh,
portions look
okay, yeah.
bigger, tricks your brain into feeling more satisfied. That's one that came up here. You could try that. I don't know. Like I'm sure it. I think that what it can help with, because for me, I'm the type of person like when I put food on a plate, I generally eat it. Right. So
Hmm.
like if you put less food on the plate or you have smaller portion sizes, you could find that you're more satisfied and you're already satisfied and you don't need the more of the food. So I think that's where my mind goes with this. So I think that could be beneficial. And then you could always reevaluate again. Like if you have a smaller portion size and then you eat it and you're like, I don't know if I'm weighed like a little bit, maybe maybe you'll be satisfied and you won't need any more food. But then if you aren't, then eat more food. Right. So I
Yeah.
think it can be a good tool as well in that sense.
I don't know if this one's on there, but like not buying the bullshit to begin with, like don't have it in the pantry. I think a lot of people get the stuff for their kids, right? Like the sleeves of Oreos and like all the crap, and it's in the pantry, and then they're like battling not going to snack on this stuff, and that's extremely hard. So you and I have told people in the past of like, if you're gonna get the chips, if you're gonna get the can, like whatever it is, like get the single size serving and just limit yourself. And that way, when it's gone, it's out of the house. But if it's in the pantry, it's in the cupboards, like, and you're just trying to mentally just grit through it, like it's so hard. But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Like you know what I mean? The likelihood of you overeating or binging on it, I know that helps stay with consistency. And clients have given feedback on that one. It's like, yeah, it's huge when it's not in the house. But if their wife hits up Costco and they're bringing home the Costco size bag of M&Ms or peanut butter pretzels, like, being able to battle that stuff is super hard. I don't know if that one's on there, but
That's money, dude. You nailed it. Number four
oh, cool.
is to don't keep trigger foods at the house.
Yeah,
Right. Use
that's a
check
big
out.
one. Like
That's a huge one. If you do
yeah.
struggle, especially if you struggle with certain foods, I mean,
Oh yeah.
for me, it's candy. Now, that's not
Yep.
to say don't keep candy in the house, but when it's in the house, it's gone pretty quickly.
Dude.
And so it's kind of just understanding yourself too, and understanding where you're at, right? If you're like really your nose to the grindstone trying to hit goals, then it's probably a good time for you to keep some of those foods that you struggle with out of the house. Not to say you can't eat them, but just go out and get them in smaller portion sizes too. And
Yeah.
I would say also just this is kind of and we'll try to find number five and try to get you to guess number five. Something that came to mind too is like don't go to the grocery store hungry.
Yeah, dude. That's a big one.
I can be helpful too. I find when I'm hungry at the grocery store, I generally pick up a few things that I didn't intend to,
Bad, bro. It's bad.
and it's like, oh, I get home and I eat them, and like it's just it's maybe not necessary, and so that can be that's just like a little trick, maybe number seven on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've come up with more like good ones that didn't make this list, that I feel like should absolutely be on there in some way, shape, or form, because it depends on the person. Who these things will probably work better for certain people, and based on where you're at. And like maybe you have extremely good willpower, and you're like, you know what, the kids' snacks don't even entice me. When I'm dialed in, I'm dialed in. Great, but like that's not everybody. I know it's not me. So for some people, these certain ones of these hacks, quote unquote hacks, are going to work better for others than they will, some. Well, what's a hint? All we need is number five. No,
Yeah, number
we have
five.
everything else. It was protein, hydration, enticing, like snacks in the cupboard. What was number three?
So yeah, we had eat protein at their meals. Number one, drink water before meals. Number two, number three was use smaller plates, or
Oh,
we
that's yeah,
kind
yeah.
of manufactured it a little bit to maybe just set yourself up with smaller serving sizes could help you as well to
Mm.
start, and then don't keep trigger foods at home. Last one has to do with tracking.
Mm. Uh,
Where
well,
do most people struggle when it comes to the 7 day week?
logging it, like truck.
Well, but like, generally there's like a discrepancy between like certain days.
Oh, like you going off the rails on the weekends. Like,
There you
so
go.
Monday through Friday, be completely dialed in. The weekends, they completely undid everything to either put them at maintenance or even in a surplus. So yeah, consistency throughout the week is a big one. That's the
There you
first
go.
thing we have our clients do is like, hey, I want you to log things, but I also want you to make sure you're including at least one weekend day on there. That's why I say 7 days, because we're actually going to include both. And let's just look at it for face value. There's no judgment here. I just need you to log whatever you eat, drink, binge on, go crazy, not from a judgment standpoint, but so that you can look at it and say, this is what I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
And then from there, we can navigate and make small incremental adjustments accordingly that are sustainable. But if you don't know that, or you're kind of just breezing over it, like, yeah, I've been tracking my food. I've been hitting the calorie targets that you've been telling me. And in our minds, we think 5 days out of 7 is hitting it on the mark, right? Like, let's just say hypothetically, what's 4 out of 7? 57%, right? Like, that's failing. So you got to think of it like that, as like, if you completely bomb 3 days and you're dialed 4 and you're expecting certain results, it's like you're delusional, you're crazy, right? And so you have to remind yourself, like, hey, am I act like the easiest way for people, I think, to look at this, because we're so attached emotionally. So 4 days in our head and just knocking it lights out and then just going completely off the rails for 3, we almost like convince ourselves that we've earned those 3 days, right? Like, or we've stayed dialed for 5, we've been in the ballpark, we've been pretty close, we've earned these 2 extra days where we can kind of go crazy and have our quote unquote cheat meals or cheat days, not knowing the damage that we're actually doing. So the easiest way I tell people to look at this is like, imagine if you're, for whatever reason, we as humans love our pets, right? Like, imagine if you did this with your dog. Like, you gave him those 5 days, you told him, the doctor said, or the vet said, you got to feed him this exact amount of food. You'll do it, you'll weigh it, you measure it, perfect, for 5 days. Now on the weekends, do you just give them and let them splurge and give them human food and give them all this extra stuff? And it's like, no, you wouldn't. You'd stay super consistent. You'd give them the exact amounts, and all of a sudden that the dog or your cat or whatever would achieve the outcome or the result that, the vet recommended for you, for whatever reason, if it's health reasons, whatever. But like, when it comes to ourselves, we're just like, we find ways to persuade ourselves that it's okay. We like try to justify things. And it's like, two different ways to look at it is like, if you were to detach what you're doing and have somebody else do it, and you were to see what they, or your dog or your pet do it, and see if they're deserving of the outcome or result based on the same actions that you were doing, it's easier to see. You go, oh yeah, they're not deserving of that. That's a 4 out of 7. That's a 57%, right?
Yeah.
Like, that deserving of what, right? Like, so just detach yourself from it, because we get so attached emotionally that we feel like we're doing these awesome things, and we feel like we're justifying going crazy and binging because we've been so good the other day, which you and I are both totally against this approach anyways, right? Like, we've talked about this before. It's like, we'll never ask you to be 100% on anything. Like, it's not required to be able to be super successful in health and fitness. We've always approached it as like a 80-20 principle, even more lax than that. You go 70-30, 60-40, depends on the individual and your consistency and your willingness to adhere. But we'll never ask somebody to go 100%, right? Like, and because it sets you up for failure in doing so, if it makes you feel like you're deserving of this cheat day or this cheat weekend, or like, because you've been so dialed in. So we always encourage, instead of going so extreme, dude, eat the Oreos, a couple Oreos throughout the week, have a couple peanut butter pretzels, have your food that you crave for, have your glass of wine. Like, that's fine. You're not going to derail yourself. You don't have to wait till the weekend to do that stuff. Like, I encourage people to throw it in throughout the week. And then the likelihood of you going crazy and binging on it and feeling like you've been super restrictive is a lot less, because you're able to enjoy it, and that approach is sustainable at the end of the day. So that's a big one. That's one that if people haven't practiced, they kind of have to mess up and do it almost the hard way sometimes, and like, practice being this happens with a lot of athletes, right? Like, going super hard, like for 5 days, track everything super diligently, and then they just derail on the weekends. They don't want to face the music, they don't even want to talk to you. They're like, I don't want to admit that what I did, and like, so that becomes difficult too. So some people almost have to figure it out the hard way sometimes, but it'll teach you that, hey, it's not required to be perfect in this process. Nobody ever did it, right? Nobody's ever going to. It's just like, what makes you think that you got to be perfect in this process to get your results and to get your outcome? There are far better ways to put yourself in a caloric deficit than to stress yourself out.
Good stuff, man. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. And just to recap, you guys here, the top 5 diet hacks: eat protein with every meal, drink water before meals, use smaller plates or smaller portion sizes, don't keep trigger foods at home, and make sure you track weekends, not just the weekdays, right? So hopefully this helped you out. This was fun. A lot of good ones on that list. And then we had a few extra ones like, volume based meals, fruits and veggies, like quality of food's going to help you. Then what was the other one that I said? That it was, I don't know, whatever. You can rewind, figure out what I said. But either way, a lot of good ones here. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, this is a great one to send over to somebody who is in a calorie deficit or who's trying to be. Maybe give them a few extra hacks that they can get helped out with. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys always watching and listening. We drop them every Tuesday, Thursday at 6 a.m. Pacific. And again, have a great rest of the day, and we'll be talking to you soon.